I think people are still joining, but we're going to make a start. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we celebrate the final project for our October apprentices. I'm Bogdana, one of the software engineering coaches here at Makers. And today, the October cohort has two amazing projects to demo to us. As you may or may not know, Makers is a 12-week software engineering bootcamp. And during this course, our developers go from learning the basics of programming to being able to build an entire application from scratch, like we're going to see very soon. Just a few months ago, the developers in the October cohort were in the very first week. They were learning about variables, how to install programming tools on their computers. But now they can design, build, and deploy whole products in a tech stack of their choice. They have learned how to work in teams, pair programming to write and interpret business requirements via user stories to build functioning web applications. I'm super proud of this cohort. In the past weeks, they've all stretched themselves to learn something new, overcome various challenges, and deliver original products, which I'm very excited they are sharing with everyone else today here. Also, for the first time in the Makers history, we had two cohorts working together on final projects, with the new quality engineers joining the two teams in their second week of work. So they have been encouraging greater conversations about quality within the teams, running tests and reporting bugs, and at the same time understanding the team's rituals and ways of working, and from what I've heard, how to get databases working on both Windows and Mac. So worth mentioning, they're present today to support the teams. They actually do have a separate demo days, so you might not see any of their friends or people from their companies in the call. But yeah, we're all very excited. We have the full teams here today. Right, now on to the presentations. A warm welcome to the first team of the day, Gladimakers. They've been working on the project in JavaScript, and I'll just let you take it away when you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the demonstration of our final project, the Gladiators Fitness app. First off, I would like to introduce you to the team that worked on this. There was, on the developer side, myself, Craig, Jess, Samir, Caroline, Tanya, and Andy. And on the testers working with us, there was Sanam, Avi, Ibrahim, and Adam. And I'll now hand you over to Caroline to share with you our working processes and the ideas that we had for our app.
With the process, we initially set up a team charter to agree on our agile workflow, including shared values, learning objectives, and how to structure our days. Our daily stand-ups and retros were useful check-ins to agree on what we worked on for that day, deal with blocks that pairs faced, and ensure if anybody had issues, they were resolved quickly. As a group, we decided on a timeline of what we expected at certain stages. By the start of the second week, we would have an MVP so that we could onboard the testers with a nice initial product and then implement extra features and fix bugs until our code freeze. On our team charter, as well as documenting our progress and thoughts as we created the program, we each wrote goals and learning objectives that we hoped to achieve. Themes of these were to have a well-planned project that created a functioning base product and a good understanding of the code base whilst gaining confidence in using unfamiliar technology. At the previous week's retro, we pitched ideas for a final project, so on Monday we already knew the concept and the basic features it would include, and this allowed us to explore further ideas. We sketched out a design of our pages on Excalidraw and how they would link to each other for a good user experience. We then generated user stories to help inform further features or changes to our existing plan and focus on who we were designing this for.
Hello, welcome to our exercise app Gladiators, where users with a range of experience can access different types of training and create a personalized workout plan to achieve their goals. So on the landing page, we can sign in and we can sign up. This takes us to a survey where you can input your skill level and you can say whether you have access to equipment. We're going to show you the exercise catalog. In the exercise catalog, we have categories for training type. We have all, and then we have strength, flexibility, and we have cardio. Now, each exercise, when you click on it, has a description. It shows you what area of the body is used and a little how-to on how to do it. So each one has one. We've got squats, bench presses, got a hamstring stretch, and so on. Now to check out what muscles are used. So for example, if you press a lunge and you see it works your quadriceps, it works your hamstrings, it works your glutes, and you're wondering what muscles are those in the body, we can go down to here, we can have a look. So we've got our hamstrings, we've got our glutes, got our quads, and all the rest of them there as well. Now, if you want to create a workout, we can add and remove up to 5 to create a personal workout plan. So I'm going to add some star jumps, I'm going to do some skipping, I'm going to do a neck release and a hamstring stretch, and then finally I'll do a squat. Now I can only add up to 5, but I can remove them. So if I want to remove them and I want to change them, I can do so and add some more. Now, for example, if somebody was training specifically for a 10K, what they could do is they could add some cardio. They could do some skipping, they could do some star jumps, and they could do some chasing chickens. They could maybe do a hamstring stretch to improve their flexibility in their legs, and they could do some lunges to improve their strength. Now, when you click go to workout, it appears on your dashboard ready for you to start. So here's our current workout. On the current workout, we can remove individual ones if we decide against them, or we can decide to just clear all and start again. Here's our current workout. We press start. We can also pause it, and it functions as circuit training. So each exercise is 30 seconds, and then there's a 10-second rest in between. So for example, if somebody's only got time to squeeze in a workout during a lunch break, perhaps, this app sets up your workout for you. It's really easy to choose what you want to do, and then the time is set for you. And then you can do the circuit however many times you want in whatever time you have available. So on our dashboard, we do have a number of functions that with more time we would have implemented. On the one side, we have some APIs. We thought that would be relevant. So you can listen to music while you work out. You can check the weather if you want to exercise outside, and you can see the date and time with ease, especially useful if you only have your lunch break to squeeze in a workout. We also have some utilities on the other side that we'll tell you about a bit later. And we have a random workout generator. Now this random workout generator, it would grab 5 random exercises from the database, and some further features would be a filter based on your skill level and your access to equipment. Finally, we have a user guide page. We would have some tips, perhaps a bit of advice. Here we have some strength training guide, and it tells you advice for endurance, hypertrophy, and maximal strength. And we may also have some help on here to navigate the app. In your user profile, you can view a history where you can track your progress, and when you tick a complete workout on the dashboard, it will move the information here. We can also update our details, we can change our password, and we can change our experience level. This will then show up on our profile. We also have a milestones button. With more time, what we would have implemented was the ability to track our stats, perhaps workouts we completed this month, how many, and a position in a leaderboard. Thank you for your attention. We hope you've enjoyed our demo. And if you do want to be a gladiator, sign up now.
Some of the challenges we faced during our project was the lack of knowledge around JavaScript, as some of us only had a week of JS training prior. Also, learning new technologies within the limited time frame we had whilst creating notes, which would come in hand to onboard our testers. Some of the other challenges we faced was the 2-week deadline, which limited us on what we had aimed to implement in our final product, and also the testing and fixing bugs, which took up considerable time for us all. However, despite the challenges we faced, we did achieve success with sticking to our timeline comfortably, which allowed us to create an MVP in our 2nd week. This was helpful to integrate our testers into our project. We successfully collaborated and were able to encourage each other when we were hitting blocks and working alongside our testers, who were able to improve our workflow and highlight potential bugs before they'd be found by users. We aim to distribute and allocate tasks where everyone was comfortable with, and therefore were able to build our project grow and evolve as we had an organized Trello board, charter notes, and our Excalibur graphs to outline the features which we would stick to.
Thank you, Tanya. As you can see, we used a wide range of technology. We chose Vue to get a more app-like feel to the project and to challenge ourselves to work with new tech. We tested the structure of our database models with Jest, the contents and basic functioning of Vue components with Cypress component tests, and the full user experience with Cypress end-to-end tests. When the testers joined, they wanted to run these tests before a pull request is merged into main. This improved our workflow and made our main branch more secure. We initially had a lot of difficulty connecting to a Mongo database in the GitHub tests, but eventually we succeeded.
As for future development, further time investment, there are numerous additions that we could implement as we build on the foundation of the application. Things such as the random workout generator, for example, could be personalized so that a user's experience level, equipment status, and eventually their own personal goals would be linked to the exercises being shown. For example, within further iterations of the application, we would look to generate specific workouts that would emphasize cardiovascular and endurance training over hypertrophy training for people who aim to train for long distance running. In the APIs, we could look to implement other APIs such as the Google Maps API to deploy a finder function. Within this function, we would look to link up a user with upcoming events and classes within their area, as well as potentially opening up to link users with personal trainers. Further features that we could look to improve would be the UX, which could mean that we build upon the history feature. Within this, minor features could include giving further information about particular workouts, such as how long it took them, how many iterations of the particular workout did they do. And other major features could include the analysis of user data and modeling for particular interests, which could come from collating their information with their consent, of course, which could be used for personal and commercial reasons. This would also be useful for pairing users within the Finder functionality, as it would allow for more targeted recommendations. As you can see, there are various other implementations that should add value to the application and hopefully retain users, as well as create opportunities for premium services within the app. And with that, we conclude our presentation, and I hope that you enjoyed the demonstration and welcome any questions that you may have, as well as extending out an invitation for you all to join us for complimentary protein bars in the foyer later. Thank you.
Is this the virtual fire we're joining? And everyone's getting protein bars via post, or? Right, are there any questions for Vladimir? From anyone in the call, by the way. Feel free to use the chat. I can keep an eye on it. Or mute yourself, if rather. Team, make sure you also check the chat for all the congratulations they get in there. Well done.
I do have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you could start again, what's one thing you would change about how you approached it?
I think if we'd had the testers earlier to set up the process on GitHub, that might have helped us. And just generally making sure that the testing was all sort of robust right from the start. I think, yeah, that would have been nicer.
Cool.
Nice. Any other questions? And it's also great to hear that you wanted the testers to join the team earlier. That's great news. Any other questions? Well, if not, thank you, Gladimakers. I'm actually trying to exercise from home. It's really hard to stay motivated. So this is definitely a platform that I would use. So yeah, great work. Now, I'd like to welcome the second team of the day, She's Up, with their C# project. When you're ready.
Okay, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Hello, everyone. We are Team She's Up, and we're going to introduce you to our project in this video. And firstly, our project is called Oopology. And the idea behind Oopology is that we were commissioned to develop a website by someone called Peter Pennywacker, who is leader of a philosophical group called Oopology. And what is Oopology? It is vaguely based on object-oriented programming and futurism. And Peter is quite an eccentric character, as you'll see, and his followers are very devoted. And so I'm going to take you through this website, and you can see some of its functionality. There is an opening video, which we used AI.
Hello to everyone at Transport for London and Makers Academy. Ira, Ryan, Sam and Azim all welcome you to the wonderful life-changing teachings of Oopology. Oopology started off as an idea of our beloved founder and teacher Peter Pennywacker.
Okay, I'm not going to play the whole video, but you can kind of see the idea that we had using an AI avatar. And the idea is that users can sign in, which I've already done for us, and that they can browse courses. So as you can see, there's various CSS styling in operation. And the idea is that users can browse and can select courses that they want more information on. And you can see Peter Pennywacker there. There are blurbs about him and appeals to buy the book. We can add products to the cart and we can buy multiple items if we wish to, and we can check out and we can complete. And as you can see, we've completed purchases. The shopping cart is cleared. We have functionality where we can donate money towards the course for the upkeep of Peter Pennywacker's mansion. And if we donate, we get a message and that we have a little dashboard and they get experience points for making donations and for purchasing courses. They can do a little assessment, and depending on if they get things correctly or wrong, then they're told that I got them all wrong, so I really need to do a course. And I'm giving links to go and buy courses to improve my knowledge. We can do little posts. I've already made a post there. And users of the website can post lovely messages to each other. Okay, so that concludes our brief demo. And I'm going to hand over to Ira, who's going to talk about our learning journey through the project.
Hi everyone, my name is Ira and I'm going to start talking about the learning journey. So we wanted to do something different for this project. So we wanted to choose a unique project to show our creativity, and we discussed of the fictional character of the organization and its name and the benefits of its followers. We felt like at points that our C# knowledge in the web project was not the best, but we've learned a lot through the previous projects, especially the one before that project. Yeah, that kept us going. We held frequent meetings throughout the days using pair programming, and we found that this was beneficial for our blockers. We also discussed features and the applied ideas, and we felt that this helped us to be better programmers. So now I'm going to pass you on to Sam, who is going to continue talking about our journey. So yeah, to you, Sam.
Thank you, Ira. We discovered very early on that it was important to have a gitignore file. One of our biggest reoccurring issues was the abundance of merge conflicts and Git-related issues that we had. It was at times very painful to learn just how to use Git, but we feel like now on the other side of it, we are better developers, especially when it comes to Git. The other big part of developing is testing, and we did struggle to use NUnit and XUnit to test our web app. So instead, we picked up other methods. ReSharper, which is an extension in Visual Studio, luckily has a lot of testing features. And then so going on to actually what we decided to use, the ASP.NET Core MVC architecture, which is a C# feature. We decided that in order to make the most out of the limited time we had, it'd be important for us to go over to Windows and to use Visual Studio. And there are a couple of reasons for this. Visual Studio provides a method called scaffolding. It's able to automatically build a blueprint of methods, views, and controllers for the basic CRUD features. In additional lines that we were to then write, a lot of them were auto-completed thanks to the fantastic IntelliSense. We were then able to use Entity Framework, which is an object relational mapper. This saved, again, a lot of time. We didn't have to use as many SQL queries. An Entity Framework and some other NuGet packages, which we used, were absolutely crucial in making this developing experience a lot easier and a lot more straightforward. The final benefit of us using Visual Studio was its integration with Azure. We decided to publish a website to Azure. In previous weeks, we've published to other websites and had difficulties. However, the integration with Microsoft is absolutely fantastic. and the website was instantly set up. It was great to work with, especially due to its continuous integration and continuous development features that just meant we could push to our Git branch and as you would automatically update. So that was a brief oversight of our software engineering and teamwork techniques. I'm now going to bring you to our final speaker, Azim. Azim, take it away.
Thank you. So I'm Azim, and continuing from the software engineering and teamwork techniques that we had used as a team, we decided the best way to go about it when first planning was to open a Trello board. And after deciding that we would do an MVC architecture, we divided tasks using this Trello board, where team members would match tasks according to their comfort level. Git branches were especially helpful when working on new features, as they separated the workload between the different team members and prevented us from often creating clashes within the code where there would be merge conflicts. But we worked around in time and got that sorted. Our next technique that we used was pair programming, and this was more utilized when working on complex problems. It was used to help other team members learn more about the project. This was especially useful because someone may be more comfortable explaining and coding a certain feature where certain other features given by Microsoft are used, whereas another team member may not be so they can have this explained to them and they'll be in tip-top shape to hopefully implement a feature that uses those same concepts. Our final teamwork technique that we used was the testers, who helped us with our usability as well as making suggestions. We would meet 2 to 3 times a day.
Thank you all for coming to watch our presentation. I believe there will now be some questions asked. So thank you again, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Shiza. Any questions from anyone, either on the chat or feel free to unmute yourself? Up to you. Mel's asking, is Apology going to be your new side hustle?
Yes, it is.
Oh, there is a question from Benjamin. What motivated your decision to use MVC rather than something like React?
Because we wanted to build it in C#, and C# is part of .NET, and .NET is the technology used by our employer, and it's the technology that matters most to them. And we felt the MVC architecture is an architecture that is used mostly for bigger projects, and so our employer TfL would be working on much bigger projects.
Nice. So you already set a foundation for what you need. And another question from Dion. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If you had another sprint, what improvements would you make?
I think something which we started to look at, but and we did some investigating into, was the integration of Stripe, which is the payments API. We did have that as a ticket, and we were looking at the documentation, but we decided that actually it wasn't going to be able to be done in this sprint because it was just a bit too complex. So ideally, in the next sprint, Stripe would be something which we would look at.
And I would like to add to that as well, and this is something that our testers really came back with, is accessibility. So for example, some of the images we produced have text in them, and there'd be limitations with people who have accessibility requirements, so that we would have to absolutely look at that, and that would be one of the primary things on the list for the next sprint.
Nice, so lots of plans. Basically, if you have 1 more month, imagine what you could do. One more question from Mel. What do you feel was the biggest challenge you overcame?
I'm interested in Ira's answer to this. Did you hear the question, Ira?
Yeah. So basically, as I said, I think I believe that I'm talking for everyone when I say that. I think our biggest challenge was that we didn't have enough knowledge around C#, and that was my biggest blockage anyway. And how we overcame that was we just kept going, and we had like plenty of meetings, and we had the support of the coaches. We had Alex helped us a lot on that, like so yeah, so just collaboration between us, and yeah, keep going, and yeah, and we've learned a lot, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna put a full stop here.
Nice. That was the main part, right? Learning well.
Yeah, that was the main challenge.
Apologies, I did forget my headset does have like a built-in mute function, so you might have heard me talking earlier, but it might not have worked. So thanks for the save, Ryan, as well for that. Thanks for your answer, Ira. I'd also like to point out the fact that, yeah, we did have our own issues within our own group that we overcame. We also had an issue with the testers joining us, because we understand that we're going to be working with different teams, and they might be joining us, we might be joining them, so we have to accommodate for that. And I guess a big blocker for that was the database that we had set up. Since we were working on Windows, it wasn't working on their Mac, on their MacBooks. So what one or two team members spent a day doing, or 2 days doing, was setting up an Azure branch on Git, where they were able to use a shared database between them. And whenever we made changes to that Azure branch on Git, it will automatically update for them. And that was one of the greatest blockers that we have overcame as well.
No. And another question from Nadir: was there anything that surprised you regarding what's it like to work to develop software in the team?
For me, the thing that surprised me the most is how time slips away, that you think you've got a lot of time, and then once you've dealt with things such as other people will always come to you, they want to show you things, they want your opinion on it or feedback. Your time is a lot less than what you think, and I think it's about being over ambitious, and I think that's the surprising thing, that learning about what you can actually accomplish in a team in a sprint. I think that was the most surprising thing for me.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on that. I know I kind of mentioned it in the video, but just the importance of Git and having good Git practices, because if you don't, and when we, sort of were a bit, didn't, put our Git ignore in the beginning, it led to a lot of time wasted sorting out merge conflicts between different people's branches. So that was definitely a big surprise, and something which we had to adjust for as the weeks went on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
yeah, sorry, can I say something? Can I add something?
Of course.
Yeah, I was just saying that of course, like working in teams in the development environment is different every time, because people are different. And what amazed me, it was that because I did participate in another project, in other teams within Makers, was we had really, I felt like I had that the dynamics within my team were really nice, like because people have different skills, and we were good at just working together, but also allocating like tasks to people like according to their strengths. And I wasn't expecting that. Like it surprised me that it worked that well in that extent. And yeah.
Oh, well, that's really good to hear. And I'm curious, what about Gladimakers? What did you find surprising?
I think Ryan's point about the time slipping away is definitely a big one. You don't notice, like you're sitting talking about things for what feels like 5-10 minutes to get an idea of what you're going to do next, and before you know it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah, definitely. Adding to that, especially when, and it's so great as a team when you get on really well, but when you get on so well to the point where you're like, oh, it's 12, and and you don't realize that. I mean, which is lovely, but yeah, it is quite surprising, isn't it? How quick you think you've got 2 weeks, but really you've got a week actual coding going into it, and the rest is a lot of planning and the presentation and yeah, everything around that as well, and all the Git pushes and the Git pulls and making sure we've all got the same stuff on our computers.
Time flies when you're having fun, right? Nice. And just going back to testing from Ben, it's good that you work closely with testers. Did anyone have a crack at trying TDD when writing your tests? Both teams can pick up this.
Oh, okay.
Before you, sorry, Ryan, to interrupt you. I'm just struggling to understand the question. What does have a crack at trying TDD means? Like found it difficult or something? What?
It means did we attempt any test-driven development era?
Okay.
Okay. Yes, we did attempt to do test-driven development, but what we found is that this kind of application was a world away from test driving a console app, and the complexity of doing it was kind of beyond our knowledge, and it's something we want to pick the brains of senior developers at TfL about. But because we were working with a database context, it was very difficult to. We found it very difficult to mock. We found it difficult to test the outcomes of iAction results in our controllers. And so we had to just look for alternatives because we, amongst ourselves, and also we used a coach, Alex at Makers as well, and he found it quite difficult as well. So we had, before the testers came in, we had to rely on other techniques. So using breakpoints, taking advantage of ReSharper to tell us what exactly was happening with model data and what variables we're doing. So that was one of the things that we felt that we wished that we'd had more knowledge on in terms of this web app, in terms of testing web apps, because we felt that if it had been a console app, we would have been able to do far more TDD.
We did as much TDD as we could. We had quite a few technologies going because whilst we're using Vue, we were also using Vue Router to change addresses, and we were also using a store called Vuex. And whilst our component tests were okay, once it got onto, say, end-to-end tests, it was a lot harder to have Cypress take account of some things, especially our database. We eventually, on GitHub, we eventually managed to get the database working there for those automated tests. But yeah, if we'd had a smoother setup to all of the testing, maybe we would have done more test-driven development as we were building more of the app. But because some parts of it we struggled to do with Cypress, we did, just say we couldn't hold up the production of the app. We had to find other ways to test, like trying to use it, but then write tests afterwards to catch up, which wasn't best, but I think we'd do better this time if we did it again, because now we know how to set them all up properly.
Nice. Yeah, I'm 7 years on the job now, and it's only the last few that I've really got into the swing of it. So yeah, it's really cool that you're all trying it this early on. So yeah, well done.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. Really cool you've tried it. AI, I also think it's a very hard one to keep doing consistently and constantly all the time. Cool. Any other questions from anyone? If not, well, I want to give both teams a huge congratulations on behalf of myself and the other coaches and makers. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you in the past few months. You should be really proud of what you've achieved in just 12 weeks, how far you've got from like when you just started learning about the basics of programming to today when you have like a fully fledged deployed application. And we're very excited to hear what you're up to next. What are your next adventures? So do keep in touch. Yeah, a big virtual round of applause to you all. I do not know where the applause sign is in Teams, so I'm just going to do this. And congratulations again. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. I hope you all have a lovely weekend and a lovely evening.